How's it going, everybody? Nerds Rising here, and welcome back to the Nerd Cave. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at my latest Open Great League team that has gotten me up about 100 elo in the last day or so. And the team features Shadow Nidoqueen on the lead, Poliwrath as the closer, and Sableye as the safe switch. Now, this is an ABB style team. It's not a perfect ABB style team because Poliwrath and Sableye do have some different matchups, but the goal with the team is to use Sableye as a safe switch, draw out their Noctowl or their Charmer or Fairy type, and then hopefully allow the Poliwrath to sweep the endgame. Now, when I say it's not a perfect ABB style team, it means basically the Sableye does have some slightly different matchups than the Poliwrath. For example, Medicham obviously is going to crush Poliwrath, but Sableye is going to destroy it. So in some situations, the ABB doesn't necessarily work since the typings aren't exactly the same, but it still worked pretty well for me. I went 19-11 with the team, which is about a 63% win rate. So the team is fairly strong. Use it if you want to. I'm not going to say you have to use it. There's definitely better teams, but what I really want to do in this video, guys, is more so show you some very, very tight games, some very close wins, some very close losses, and we're going to talk in detail about some of my thought processes as I play this game. I am someone that hits Legend every season. If you're new to the channel, I do, have some higher level gameplay with my own battles. Obviously, right now I'm in the 2700s, and that is mainly just because I love running Spice, guys. You're going to find me, after hitting Legend, typically running some pretty wild teams, and unfortunately, when you run Wild Spice, you just end up dropping because there's really not that many people out there, especially in higher elos, that are running Spice, so yeah, you just tend to drop when you do crazy things like that. And by the way, some of you guys may have seen my most recent post in regards to me running Spice. Basically, I'm not going to get into it too much, but somebody called me out in the comments saying that I was tanking because I wanted more Stardust and I wanted easier wins, so I was tanking to get into like the 2500s, and really this person was just upset because I beat them with a very spicy team in the 2500s. And you know what, guys? Basically, all I have to say about that is I'm going to play the game how I want. Just because I'm a content creator doesn't mean that I have to abide by some sort of policy where I don't tank or blah blah blah. And you know what? I don't purposely tank. I run Spice and I end up tanking because if you run Spice, you just get wrecked. That's how it is. And you know what? The issue is really, if I wanted to tank, even if I was purposely tanking for Dust, who cares, guys? Like, everyone can do it. And if you lose to me when I'm giving you basically a handicap by running Spice, then that's on you, not me. So don't come complaining to me in the comments about me beating you running Spice. And this person like called me selfish and said that I was like, they had lost all the respect for me and all this stuff. So you know what? If you're watching this, man, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to gatekeep anyone from reaching their goals, but just get better at the game. That's all I have to say about that. So, and by the way, you know what? Skip this if you want to, guys. I'm going on a little bit of a rant here. I will time mark this. If you want to just get into the battles, just skip to the battles. But I'm gonna bring back up something that I said to my wife about 11 months ago when I was a brand new content creator. I had like 11 subscribers, and I put a ton of work into my channel, putting it how I wanted it, getting the music how I wanted it. And as you guys know, if you've seen any of my content, I really enjoy playing metal music on the channel, and that was one of the things I was really excited about when I started this channel, is that I could kind of customize the music to my liking. Now obviously, now that I'm monetized, YouTube is way, way strict on their copyright policy, so I can't play all the music I like to, but especially in my older videos, I brought a huge variety of metal, and basically my wife was like, you're a new channel, why are you playing metal, which a lot of people don't like. I know some people do, but a lot of people don't like it. You might not get as much of a following if you're playing metal. And I basically told her, that's probably true, but if they don't like it, they just don't have to watch my videos. And, subscribing is totally free. I appreciate all my subscribers, but if you don't like what I do, guys, the unsubscribe button is right there. And that's basically what I told my wife, is I'd rather do what I want to do, play the game how I want, make content how I want, and have my true followers appreciate it rather than conforming to the haters. And that's where I'm at, guys. So rant is over. Let's get into the battles here. We're going to take a look at some gameplay breakdown, and hopefully not everyone is mashing their unsubscribe button, but if you want to, guys, again, unsubscribing is totally free. I'm not holding anyone at gunpoint to watching my videos. So first battle here, this is going to be a water gun lantern. I slightly misplayed this. Water Gun is a 3-turn move. Every Water Gun does 3 energy, so the first Surf is actually going to be 14 turns. So what I should have done is throw 7 Poison Jabs and then switch. That would be on alignment to their Surf. I actually switched 1 Poison Jab early, but fortunately for me, the opponent was a little slow to react there, and they do actually throw anyway into my Poliwrath, so I do catch the Surf. I do lure out a Medicham, and unfortunately, like I mentioned in the intro, this is not a perfect ABB style team, so we're not really trying to lure out the Medicham, because obviously Sableye has a great Medicham matchup, but either way, we get some chip onto the Medicham, and I'm actually going to bring in the Sableye here. I normally don't like to reveal my 3rd Mon this early, but I recognize if I bring in the Nidoqueen here, I'm going to have to respect a potential Psychic. So by bringing in the Sableye, I can get a big energy head start, farm all the way down, and not have to shield anything, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I get a massive farm down. And what is the opponent going to bring in here? They bring in a Shadow Charizard here. This is a little bit scary, but we have a huge energy lead, and we have 2 shields. And here, I'm recognizing if I can grab both of the opponent's shields with my foul plays, then the Nidoqueen should be able to close this game out for me. So I'm going to shield the Claw up. I think a Shadow Claw would just about KO. I'm not 100% sure on that. Maybe I could have lived it, but either way, I shield just to be safe. And I'm going to actually aggressively bring in the Nidoqueen here. I banked some energy, and I recognize that when the opponent sees my Nidoqueen, they're going to bring back in the Lantern, but they're energy dry here, so I can massively overfarm. I'm going to one-shot this Lantern now with the Earth Power, and since I overfarmed, I will make the Poison Fang against the Zard. Yeah, and at this point, there's just nothing they can do, so I think maybe when they saw the Nidoqueen, they shouldn't have instantly switched into the Lantern, but that's a pretty difficult lead there that we managed to overcome with some pretty precise gameplay there. Again, my catch wasn't perfect timing, but we still did get the catch, and I think that's really what threw the game in my favor. So this battle here, I want to pause it very briefly because Shadow Alolan Sandslash is very difficult to see on the lead, but the thing about Shadow A-Slash is if I can get my Nidoqueen an energy advantage later on, we can one-shot it with Earth Power. So we do still have some play here, but I need to safe switch into my Sableye right away and hopefully set up my Nidoqueen to get some farm later on. So I bring in the Sableye, they meet our Sableye with the Altaria, and Altaria actually loses the 2 shield if you successfully double bait with Foul Play, but I don't actually need to do that because I don't want to give up both shields, and I definitely want to have a shield for my Poliwrath later on. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to bait initially, and then if I can get their shield, which I do get the early shield, I'm actually fine with just going for another Foul Play, and then I'm going to commit to a 3rd Foul Play, and that's going to force them to throw. So they call it there, they don't shield a potential return, and they realized I was going to get to another Foul Play, so they're forced to throw. They're going to have to dump all of their energy. So we're now in the 1-to-1 shield, and now I can actually come in with the Nidoqueen here, get a huge farm down, and I perfectly get the farm. So it's 15, basically it's 15 turns for the opponent to get to a Sky Attack, and I get the farm down in 7 Poison Jabs, which is 14 turns. So I perfectly get the farm down just as they're getting to the Sky Attack, and now if they bring back in that Sandslash, they're going to be forced to give up their last shield. Otherwise, this Earth Power will be one-shotting them. And if I get the shield here, I'll instantly bring in the Poliwrath. I do get the shield. Now I bring in the Poliwrath. And unfortunately, they do have an Azu in the back, so they actually played this very well. They didn't bring in their Azu to my Sableye, and now, unfortunately, this means my Poliwrath is aligned to their Azu. But the thing is here, I still have a shield, and they do not. Now, I'm not going to be taking out this Azu, obviously, with this Poliwrath, but that's totally fine. All I have to do here is get them low enough to where my Nidoqueen can farm down and get enough energy to outpace the opponent to an Earth Power. So I'm not going to be shielding my Poliwrath at all. I'm going to save that last shield from the Nidoqueen. I do actually get double defense drop or attack drops on the Azu, but that doesn't really matter because they're probably going to make another move on my Nidoqueen anyway. And all I have to do here is get them low. As you actually see here, guys, I want to rewind one more time. I actually don't throw the Ice Punch on this Azu here. I had the Ice Punch, but I actually don't throw it. And the reason being is I need to leave enough HP on this Azu to where my Nidoqueen can farm down and have enough energy to Earth Power the Alolan Sandslash. So they actually recognize that. They're going to pivot out. But unfortunately for them, I still have a shield. They're going to make the drill run, but they're not going to make 2 moves. Even if they would have Ice Punched there, it would have probably been a CMP tie that I would have won. I would have Earth Powered the Sandslash, and again, the Azu's probably not going to be making a move, and we're going to farm them down. We take the hard counter win, and that's going to be a G to the G. So There I recognize that I didn't need switch advantage. What I needed is an energy advantage on my Nidoqueen, and that allowed me to get the dub. So next battle, we have a Frostlass lead, and guys, this is probably the worst lead that you can see with this team because it beats the Nidoqueen very handily, and it also does very well against the Poliwrath. So this is very, very rough. What you're going to see me do here, kind of like in game 1, I'm actually going to safe switch into the Poliwrath here, recognizing if I bring in my hard counter and Sableye, they very likely are going to have a good answer to it, and I lure out a Pelipper, and guys, this is just absolutely brutal. I'm getting fully hard countered right now, because there's really no way I can take switch from this Pelipper unless the opponent lets me do it, so I'm going to stay in, I'm going to farm up, I'm going to try to go for double Ice Punches, but the opponent's probably going to just full send the Hurricane here, and they do. Very nicely done, and unfortunately here, my Nidoqueen can farm down, but we're going to take huge damage from a Weather Ball while we farm down. So we're going to farm down. They should just make one here since they did full send the Hurricane, but as you're going to see, Shadow Nidoqueen does not like to take super effective damage. That Weather Ball does massive damage. We do live it though, and we are going to make an Earth Power here, and at this point, I know my Nidoqueen virtually has no play, so I'm just going to full send the Earth Power, hopefully get a shield, and the opponent actually brings in a Quagsire here, and this is still looking really rough. What I'm recognizing here now is, what I'm hoping, I should say, is that the opponent tries to save their shields for the Frostlass, because if they do that, I might actually have a win con. So I'm going to throw the Foul Play on the Quag here, and I think the opponent makes a big mistake right here. They actually let their Quag go, and I think they were maybe like 2 off of another Mud Bump. I think they needed to shield that, and then get 1 shield off of me, because Frostlass in the 1-to-1 shield can actually beat Sableye with an energy lead, because they're going to outpace me to 2 Avalanches with a slight energy lead. So what they should have done is get a shield off of me, and maybe even get both of my shields with the Quag, because what they do is they save 2 shields for the Frostlass, but now we're in the 2-to-2 shield, and what I'm recognizing here is I can just fully farm down this Frostlass. I don't even have to throw a move, and my Shadow Claws are going to be doing more than their Powder Snows, and they actually make a huge mistake there. They throw energy, and all that does is allow me to get another free Shadow Claw in as they're throwing, and it looks like, based off of my remaining health, I think I actually would have lived 1 Powder Snow, so I don't think they threw the game there by going for that move, but yeah, they definitely should have just committed to fast moves, and I actually make them lose with 2 shields there, so a little bit of a misplay by the opponent, but there, recognizing that my win con was to fully farm down, not throw any energy, allowed me to win that battle. So getting to the next battle here, we have actually a loss, another Alolan Sandslash lead, and again, we're going to pivot into the Sableye, and here I make a bit of a mistake you're going to see. I think, first of all, the opponent plays very well. They chip here first, and this is definitely going to basically make it so I'm definitely not going to be able to take back switch. I didn't want to give a shield up so early on my Sableye, but by doing that, the opponent is guaranteeing that they're going to keep alignment, and they bring in an Abzu, and they can just fully farm me down here, and here, I make a massive misplay. If you remember the first A-Slash battle, the energy I get from the farm down on the Abzu with my Nidoqueen is super valuable, and by throwing another Foul Play here, all I've done is taken extra health off of this Abzu, and I'm already going to have to shield on Ice Beam anyway. So by throwing extra damage on them, my Nidoqueen is going to get less farm here, whereas if I don't throw that Foul Play, if I just let them farm down, I get a huge energy lead on my Nidoqueen. They don't make 2 moves anyway, and then I have that energy to throw later on with the Nidoqueen. Now here, I don't actually wait out my Switch Clock, recognizing that our Switch Clocks are misaligned, so their A-Slash was locked into my Poliwrath there. So I bring it in and instantly, I farm them basically all the way down, and they have a Medicham in the back. But unfortunately, I am down a shield, and I can get these Scalds off. I do get the attack drop here, so I should hopefully make another move, and I do make an Ice Punch, which is nice. But unfortunately, the attack drop also allowed them to get a bunch of extra farm, which is really not ideal. And as you're going to see here, I'm actually going to make a play that some of you guys might question. I know that this Medicham has just so much energy, and they very easily can just make double Psychic here. So at this point, my only win con is to basically call an Ice Punch, because Shadow Nidoqueen does actually live an Ice Punch from this range. It does slightly over half, and if they Ice Punch here, then they're actually going to have to make 2 more Ice Punches to KO me, because they're not going to be able to counter me down. So my only win con here is just to no-shield this move, hope that they bait, and then I can make them basically lose because of that bait, but the opponent recognizes that there's no reason to bait there, and they full send the Psychic, and unfortunately we do lose that battle there. If I would have overfarmed more on the Azu with the Nidoqueen, I might actually have made another Poison Fang. Maybe that would have been a little bit closer, but either way, we end up losing that battle, and in the next game here, we have a nice 1 lead there, but the opponent safe switches into an Alolan Sandslash, and guys, I don't think that Alolan Sandslash is a very good safe switch because it gets absolutely shredded by counters, but what I'm recognizing here is that the opponent is very likely running an ABB style team where they very likely are going to be weak to counter in the back, so their goal with that was probably just to force me to bring out my counter user against the A-Slash. Obviously, we crushed the A-Slash there, but hopefully in their mind, they're thinking, if they draw out the counter user, then their back Pokemon is not going to have to see it. And what you're going to see is that ends up working out for the opponent. Unfortunately for them, I do actually make double Scald on their Medicham, so they have to give up a shield. And now, since I have alignment, I can just put my Sableye onto this Medicham, and this is looking pretty rough for the opponent. So they are going to throw the Ice Punch. They're probably going to be switching in their Backmon, and they have a G-Fisk here. So G-Fisk gets to the Earthquake after 8 Mud Shots, and I'm recognizing at this point that Sableye is my win con. I have a 2-to-1 shield advantage, and my Nidoqueen, basically I have no use at all in this game for my Nidoqueen other than just to use it as an extra shield. So I'm going to count up to 8 Mud Shots here, and then bring in the Nidoqueen, and they're at 4 right now. So we're going to count up 4 more here. They do sneak through a Mud Shot as I throw, so they're not 5. And I'm going to bring in the Nidoqueen to catch here after 3 more. So 1, 2, 3... I bring in the Nidoqueen, hoping actually that they just full send the Earthquake, because again, I don't need this Nidoqueen at all. Sableye can clean up this G-Fisk and the Medicham, and the opponent actually baits here, and they overfarm by 2 Mud Shots here, so they're 2 past the Earthquake. They're very likely just going to be throwing the Earthquake here. They do take me out, but I still have 2 shields, and this is now 6, 7, 8, so they are now at an Earthquake, but at this point, I can just throw right before they get to their move. They're going to be forced to shield it, and this is probably going to be a Rock Slide bait, but I'm recognizing even if they bait me twice, I'm still going to easily be able to get to multiple foul plays. 1 for the G-Fisk and 1 for the Medicham. They do catch, but again, I think they're only at like maybe 3 Mud Shots here, so they're still not going to make 2 Rock Slides before I make my next foul play, so I can very safely just shield up. They're going to commit to 2, and I probably even would have just farmed them down before they made the back-to-back, so GG there. I recognized there that my Nidoqueen was dead weight to me, and my win con was just to save it all for the Sableye, and that ends up getting me a very nice win in that battle. So, into the next battle, we have Shadow Nidoqueen into a Azumarill. Very nice lead for us. Unfortunately, the Azu actually wins the zeros, just because Ice Beam does a ton of damage, and 1 Poison Fang is unfortunately not going to be KOing, so we throw our move here after 7 Poison Jabs for proper timing. Again, if you're doing 2 turn into 3 turn, you want to throw on 1, 4, or 7. And the reason for that is Bubble is a 3-turn move. So the opponent's bubbles are going to be doing 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. So the 5th bubble is going to be 15 turns, whereas 7 Poison Jabs for a 2-turn move is going to be 14 turns. So by throwing after 7, we effectively only let in 1 free turn of energy. And there again, on the Bastiodon, you saw me throw 1 Poison Jab and then the move. And now I'm going to throw after 7 again. Once again, always just allowing 1 free turn of energy from their Smackdowns. And as you're going to see, correct move timing and not allowing them to sneak a full Smackdown through is going to end up being absolutely crucial, because if we don't throw on good timing, look at that, we just make the Earth Power there as we're getting farmed down. If we don't throw on good timing there, we definitely do not make that 3rd Earth Power. And by doing that, fortunately, we're able to get that Bastiodon super low, which is very important because they have a Wiggly toughen back, and my very good ranked Sableye just barely makes the return, and our Poliwrath can now just farm down with like 1 or 2 counters, and then we're going to have energy loaded for the Bastiodon. We still have a shield as well. I think they probably will make a move, but fortunately, honestly, I think move timing there might actually, I just made up a word for might actually be the key factor here in winning this battle, because if you think about it, if I don't get that Earth Power off on this Bastion, as you're going to see, it comes back in, it's very low. If it's like full health still, basically, because our Poison Jabs did basically nothing to it, I think after the damage we took on the Poliwrath, just based off of how much health I have left, let's see, that might have gotten a little bit tricky for our Poliwrath, because we're at like half health from the Charms, and they came out of that matchup with basically 100 energy, so Yeah, I don't think... I'm not sure. Maybe we still would have won, but it would have been very close. So move timing there, very important. And into the next battle, I believe based on the time here, we have maybe like 3 battles left. And by the way, guys, if you're noticing all the cuts in this video, my wife's sick right now and she's not feeling super good. So I've had to stop the video a couple times to help her out. She had to come down here and get a drink out of the fridge in the nerd cave. Of course, every nerd cave has to have a mini fridge. So I apologize for the cuts if you're noticing them, but we have a shiny Obstagoon in this battle, and they're staying in, and I'm recognizing that they're also not in Poison Fang range, so I want to make sure I win this lead, and I know that they live a Poison Fang, so I actually full send the Earth Power, and I was recognizing they were staying into a pretty bad lead, so they were very unlikely to shield their Goon, and what's also extremely important, guys, is that I recognize that they're staying into a bad lead, so they also are probably going to be weak to this Nidoqueen and back, so when they bring in the Shadow Dragonite, I recognize Shadow Dragonite has a pretty neutral lead against the Nidoqueen, so this is very likely not the thing that they were trying to keep the Nidoqueen away from. And there's the Shadow Alolan Ninetale. So as you saw there, I see the Shadow Dragonite. I instantly pivot into my safe switch, which is the Sableye, because I want to make sure I draw out this Ninetales and preserve some health on the Shadow Nidoqueen. Because if I just stay into the Dragonite there with the Nidoqueen and let the Dragonite take my Nidoqueen out, then their Shadow Alolan Ninetales that's hiding in the back just fully sweeps my Sableye and Poliwrath, especially since it was running Charm. So I had to safe switch out of there. I had to keep my Nidoqueen alive, and then because I'm able to get rid of the A9 with the Nidoqueen, the Poliwrath would have just countered down the Dragonite fully there. So that's just a read on the team comp there that allowed me to win that battle. And into the next one here, we have a Shadow Swampert. Shadow Swampert is very difficult for this team. I believe this is actually a loss. And you're going to see here, I'm hard counter on the lead, and then the opponent brings a Noctowl into my Sableye. And Sableye needs either 3 foul plays or a foul play and a return, plus a bunch of Shadow Claws to KO this Noctowl. And I'm recognizing that the opponent was very, very fast on the swap. They only allowed me to get 1 Shadow Claw head start, and that means that I'm not going to make a foul play and a return before this Noctowl makes 2 Sky Attacks. And as you see, the opponent is counting perfectly there. They throw their second Sky Attack before I'm able to get to my return, and I'm not going to be able to force a shield advantage from this matchup, but I recognize that they're probably going to shield this, recognizing a return would just about KO. And rather than throwing the return and letting them farm me down, I actually go double foul play there because I want to make sure I save some health on this Noctowl so that my Nidoqueen can come in and farm it down. And I think here I'm actually thinking my Poliwrath is probably going to have to 1v2 this backline anyway. So I tank the energy on the Nidoqueen, on the energy from the Noctowl on the Nidoqueen, and now I'm actually going to bring in the Poliwrath and get a 2 counter head start and just have to hope that they're ABA weak to the Poliwrath. And unfortunately, they have a Mandibuzz in the back. So we're going to be timing our moves very carefully here. Very nice charge move timing by the opponent. And again, we're going to be making sure we're throwing after either 1, 4, or 7. We don't want them to sneak through an entire free Snarl, because this is going to be a very close matchup versus the Snarl Mandibuzz. They can take an Ice Punch very easily. And here the opponent actually makes a big mistake. As you see, they throw on alignment. They should be throwing on odd numbers for a 3-turn into 2-turn move. And by throwing on alignment there, I get a full counter through for free. And this is actually going to allow me to KO this Mandibuzz before they make another Aerial Ace. This Ice Punch will just about not KO, but 1 more counter should KO them. So they're forced to switch out of there. They bring back in the Swampert. I do catch on the Nidoqueen, but unfortunately, the Swampert's charge moves are going to be 5-4, 5-4 for the Hydro Cannons, and they're going to be on their 4th cycle now, and they're only going to be 2 away from their next Hydro after that Mudshot sneaks through. So I do bait, recognizing I have to bait and try to make the Scald, but unfortunately I get outpaced by 1 Mudshot there, and I'm not sure. I think that the Swampert actually would win CMP against the Poliwrath. Maybe I'm wrong. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I would have lost anyway. But as you see, guys, sometimes even if you play everything just about perfectly, there's not always a win con. That opponent just had me hard countered, and they played very well there to not allow me to get any sort of advantage. So actually, this is the last battle, I believe. Another Shadow Alolan Sandslash lead, and this is very tricky for my team. You have seen me play these a couple times. This opponent does decide to stay in and chip like one of the last opponents did, and they don't bank another move, and then they bring in a Sableye. So they're not super strong and back to my Sableye, it appears, because bringing in your own Sableye down energy is never really a great answer, because they're going to be forced to give up a shield here. They are going to farm me all the way down, but I'm thinking that they may have just left their Sableye in a perfect health range for me to come in and fully poison jab all the way down with my Nidoqueen. They should just about make 2 foul plays here. I'm going to call that this is not a return here. They're very unlikely to full send the return here, and it is just a foul play. I will have to commit 1 shield, but again, you guys have already seen this. With a little bit of an energy head start, the Shadow Nidoqueen can one-shot the Sand Slash with an Earth Power. So I do just about come out with an Earth Power. I'm 1 away, and I will be able to either force their last shield or one-shot them. And then regardless of whether they shield it or not, I'm going to instantly be bringing in my Poliwrath and giving my last shield to the Poliwrath. So I full send the Earth Power here. They call the bait. They get one-shotted. What's going to be in the back? And it's actually a Shadow Charizard. So this is a little bit scary here, guys. Fortunately, 1 Shadow Blast Burn doesn't quite KO the regular from this amount of health, so I know I can safely shield, and even if they bait me, I should be able to live their next move. So I throw the Ice Punch there. I don't even build up to the Scald. I actually wanted them to try to call a bait there. They do call it, and now I recognize even if they Blast Burn me here, it doesn't really matter because I can just come in and Poison Jab down with a Nidoqueen, and the Poison Jabs will be doing more than the wing attacks, and they actually make a very high level play there. I have to commend the opponent here because the opponent, like I said, recognized that. Okay, my battles are gone. Anyway, we don't have to go back and watch it, but what I was going to say is the opponent there recognized that, like I said, if they Blast Burn me, the Nidoqueen just farms them down, so they recognized they had to Claw there and then try to commit to the farm down and come out of that matchup with a Claw loaded for my Nidoqueen, and they just narrowly missed out on it, honestly. So very nicely played by the opponent there, but we managed to take another hard counter lead, and I believe that's all the battles, guys. So thank you for watching. Again, I'm kind of sorry about the cuts in and out. Not the cleanest recording of all time, but thank you so much for watching. I truly hope you've been enjoying the content lately. We're getting very close to 2,500 subs, so massive thank you to everyone who's been watching and liking, commenting on my videos, and if you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing, because the more subscribers we can get, the more Pokemon my wife will let me play.